Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I'm Abdullah Azam Robani. I study at University of Binasaran Informatica. Here I want to talk about something very important. We will be discussing about the new president of Indonesia. First of all, congratulations to him, to Mr. Prabowo Subianto, for winning the election 2024 in Indonesia, alongside with the Vice President Gibran Rakabuming Raka. Uh, the reason why I make this video is because I think it's very necessary to share my thoughts to you guys regarding the new president of Indonesia. As we know that in the current global situation, we have been recovery from the COVID-19, and the current global situation isn't getting any better, and that's why a lot of wars in Ukraine. There is a genocide going on in Gaza and Palestine, and and of course, and the United States has the new president, which is Trump. Congratulations to Trump. Donald Trump has won the election, of the United States of America 2024. I think it will have big impact to Indonesia too. As we know that Indonesian is a non-block country, which we literally we can be friends with Russia, we can be friends with US, and that's very good. But mentioning the current situation in Palestine genocide, I think Indonesian have to take a step. Okay, let me talk about uh, the background of Mr. Prabowo Subianto and how he will lead this country according to my analysis. Okay, first of all, Prabowo Subianto is a former. He has a military background. Of course, he was a former general in military in Indonesia, and of course there is some scandals or there is some human rights uh, breaker, but it's in the past. But sometimes we learn from the past, right? So I want to discuss about how uh, he will make a foreign policy and how he will make impact to Indonesian during this time. As we know that the escalating in Ukraine and in the Middle East have raised to concerns. Um, as we heard the news, we read the news that the North Korea joined Russia to fight against NATO and the US, and of course, it will be very interesting in the future. It's very concerning because we've been just recovering from COVID-19 pandemic, and now we got something big incoming ahead of us, and that's not going to be a good sign for us. And and I and also in the Middle East, there is a genocide and war that is happening in Palestine, in Lebanon, and Israel trying to expand their territory uh, to Syria and Iraq, and that's very highly concerning because it can lead to the regional war more wider. As we know, Indonesia is known as a non-block country, but we always support Palestine no matter what because we had been colonized before for years, and we know how it felt. I hope with the new president of Indonesia, he will be able to help more, to do more, to help the Palestinian cause and can make peace in the Middle East. I hope. Okay, let's move to the next topic. Regarding this, how Indonesian will be in the future under Prabowo Subianto. That's very interesting. I think under Prabowo's leadership, Indonesia might pursue more independent and nationalist economic and foreign policies, as we speak before. Because what? Because Prabowo has a military background. I'm pretty sure he is very nationalist, and he will prioritize Indonesian first. The last thing is that the success or failure of Prabowo's presidency will largely depend on his ability to balance domestic priorities with the demands of geopolitics, maintaining Indonesian traditional diplomatic neutrality and address the concerns of the international community. I think that's it for us, and I hope that with the new president, uh, we will have a lot of jobs because we know that in Indonesia there is a lot of people that are jobless. They don't have a job. They don't have a job at all, even though they are a fresh graduate or undergraduate. There is still a lot of jobless people. So I hope with this new president, Indonesia will create more jobs to the people, to the citizen of Indonesia, and I hope the economic of Indonesia is growing a lot and bigger than before. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you guys enjoy. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Abdul Azam Rabbani. Here in this session, we're going to be discussing about the very important things in English, that is frequency of verbs. So let's get started into it. What is a frequency of verbs? We might hear it, but we might not understand what does that mean. So basically, frequency of verbs are words that indicate how often an action take place. They can modify verbs to express the frequency of an action in relation to time. Alright, there are type of frequency of verbs. One of them is indefinite frequency. We use this expression without specifying the exact amount of time. So, like always, usually, sometimes, rarely, never, and etc. So, for example, always has 100 percentage of frequency. That means you have to do that um, like like almost you are doing an action, you are doing something 100%. There is no way that you're not doing that things. Like for example, I always wake up every morning. If you don't wake up, then you're dead, right? You'll die. Okay, the next one is usually has 75 percentage. uh you can use it when you're not sure whether you are going to do that activity all every day, every single time. For example, I usually go to coffee with my friend, right? What happen if your friend is not there? You still go to coffee, right? You still go to coffee, but without your friends. So you can use that uh, indefinite frequency in that sentence. So the next one is sometimes. Sometimes has 50 percentage. It means that whether you're not sure, either you're going to do that activity or not, just say sometimes, okay? For example, my brother sometimes drink coffee. It means that my brother doesn't know either he will drink coffee or not. So it depends on the situation. And another example is that sometimes I'm lazy to study, or sometimes I'm lazy to go outside if alone. Something like that. Let's move to the next one. Rarely has 25% of frequency. It means like you know that you're not going to do that, but you have a chance, you have a little change that you will be doing that activity. So you can use rarely. I rarely play games because I'm busy with my work. It means that you have a little chance to play games when you are not busy with your works, something like that. And then never has zero change. It means like you are not going to do that forever. Period. You are not going to do that. I never travel abroad, and it's also a fact, right? You for example, I never go to Netherlands. I never go to uh, other country. You can use that frequency of verbs in that sense. Okay, let's move. And the other example is the definite frequency. The correct use of the adverbs of definite frequency is to pay attention to the frequency of an event or incidents at a specific time. So it's quite the opposite with the indefinite frequency, which without specifying the amount of time that we will mention. For example, daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly. We do daily activities in the morning. That means you will do that kind of activity every morning. And me and my friends go to shopping as our daily routine. And weekly, I make weekly trips to grocery stores. And there is other samples. Let's move to the next topic. And how are we going to use it in a sentence? Like, what's the placement of adverbs of frequency in a sentence, right? That's a very good question. But it's usually before the main verb of the sentence or between the main verbs and the auxiliary verb. If there is one, but when the main verb of the sentence is to be, the adverbs of frequency usually comes after it. So it depends on the sentence and how you structure your sentence. Okay, let's move to the next one. Adverbs of frequency in unconversational English. So you can use sometimes as a casual usage, informal in informal settings. Adverbs like sometimes or usually are common. So they add a relaxed tone to conversation. You can use sometimes and usually in the informal way, with your friends. And sometimes I do that, sometimes I'm not in the mood, sometimes I play game, like something like that. And the next one is always. Always is more like to add emphasize or exaggeration. They are often used for dramatic effect, like you're always getting mad at little things, or let's or you're always being rude to me. Like you have to emphasize uh, to add more dramatic effect. And the next one is agreeing or disagreeing. These adverbs help in expressing agreement or disagreement. They're useful in discussion about habits or preference. For example, yeah, there's a lot of example of agreeing and disagreeing. Like, I agree with your opinion. I think sometimes, uh, as a human being, we have to respect other opinions, even though it's against ours. And yeah, that's how we use adverbs of frequency in conversational English. Let's move to the next one. Commonly, regularly, and routinely. The next adverbs of frequency is the commonly, regularly, and routinely. So the difference commonly and regularly. Commonly indicates that an action is widespread or usual. It's a frequent occurrence in general. Meanwhile, regularly suggests an action happens at a fixed intervals. It implies a consistent, predictable pattern. And routinely means an action is a part of routine, is done habitually as a part of schedule. So the differences between these three uh, adverbs is that commonly you use it for casual usage, for frequent occurrence in general. Like I commonly watch YouTube uh, videos during the day when I don't have work. And but regularly it suggests an action happen at fixed interval. That means you have to specify the time when you're trying to use these verbs. And routinely is something that you will do habitually based on the schedule, something like that. Please correct me if I'm wrong. Okay. And then the last thing is that modifying other adverbs. Oh, frequency adverbs can modify other adverbs. For example, she almost always answers question correctly in class. So always is a frequency of verbs, and answers is the verbs, and correctly is the frequency of verbs. So so we modify these adverbs to other adverbs. I hope that makes sense. I know it takes a lot of time to process, but I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I'm trying my best to explain in a simple way, but due to the lack of my knowledge, I apologize if I made any mistake in this presentation. And thank you so much for watching me. I hope you guys have a nice day. See you later and have a great day.